Welcome to the Influencer Show with your host, Trishawn Ben Salmi.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Influencer Show, where I interview people who can help influence the way that you live life in a number of different ways. I'm your host, C7, and today we have a very, very special guest with us, Gordana Biernat. So before we start, I want to tell you a bit about her. So Gordana is a writer, a speaker, a wisdom keeper, and Oprah. Yes, Oprah's Supersoul 100 teacher. She talks about a host of things such as perception of reality, consciousness, creativity, leadership, and art. So we have a very, very interesting guest with us today. So why don't you tell the listeners why you do what you do?
Well, I actually don't know how not to do it because I feel that I love to explore reality. I love to look at things and ask myself the question, how come this is working this way? Why are we having these beliefs? What is fear? How are we creating this reality? And it's going on and on and on all the time. And it has been doing so since I can remember as a child. But only the last maybe 8-9 years have I been able to express myself fully and utterly the way I am expressing myself right now. I've been doing a lot of other things in my life, but it has always been around human beings and how they interact with each other and with themselves. So what I found is that we are creating a society where everything is based on a fear-based thought system, which means that the way I see reality, we are beings that are love-centered beings. And if we are born into a society which is fear-based, well, then we will not be able to thrive. So I have been on a mission, and it sounds really grandiose to say this, but I've been on a mission since I gave birth to my son, which is 22 years ago. I've been on a mission to change this perspective from the fear-based way of looking at reality to a more love-based or more compassionate way of looking at reality. And I want to do this on a global level, on a global scale, because I feel that it is my duty to leave this world a better place than what it was when I was born into it. So I've been on a mission for a very, very long time to change the world. And I love what I do. So that is what keeps me going. Even in times of crisis like this and in times of fear, I still keep doing it. I cannot help myself. I just love what I do. I love sharing what I find. For instance, when I look at a flower, I ask myself, where did this flower come from? And then I start thinking about the invisible realm in our reality, and I start thinking about the visible realm in our reality, and how do the invisible things come into our reality? Well, they come in through thoughts, through our beliefs, through our emotions, and I love looking at the details, and then what I find, I share with people everywhere. So I am a social media influencer. I tweet a lot. So I have a few 100,000 people watching my tweets every day and looking for my thoughts. And I feel that I can change the world one person at a time by helping them see a different perspective of reality, to see the beauty of it, to see the brightest side of it, to see the kindness, the compassion, which is our true identity, by the way. So what I'm actually doing is I'm trying to wake people up and remember who they truly are. And I've been doing this for, as I said, at least 8 or 9 years, fully, utterly, and passionately, every single day of my life. And I will be doing this for the rest of my life, I think, too.
That is absolutely amazing. Thank you so much for sharing. And I think that is really inspirational how you're then able to use all the teachings and learnings that you've gathered throughout your whole life to incorporate them into one life as a whole. How you spoke about looking at flowers and things like that. I think it's just highly, highly inspirational. Really is.
Well, I had this daydream. I just remembered it when you started talking. I had this daydream when I was a child that uh, I have two brothers, and both of them were superheroes all the time. I mean, they were Superman and Batman, all that stuff. And I was into Spider-Man, but I had this one daydream where I had a superpower that no one else had, and that would be to share a light beam from my heart to people who are lonely and sad. And there were several people in my class. I mean, they were always sad. There was specifically this boy. He was bullied and he was always sad. So I dreamt of sitting beside him and just giving him some of that light so that he could see who he truly is, so that he wouldn't care what the bullies told him he was. I could say it to him, but he was so shy that he didn't respond to it. So I came up with this idea that if I allowed my light to be so bright, then he could see a glimpse of who he is in that light, and he would understand that they mean nothing to him. So I wanted to do this, and I think I've been doing this for as long as I can remember. I can't do it in any other way. I want to shine this light so that as many people as possible will be able to see who they are. And I think I'm doing it on a global scale right now, even though it doesn't feel like a superpower, but it's very close to that daydream I had as a child.
That is absolutely amazing.
Have you daydreamed about having a superpower?
There's been many different types of daydreams, but I think the one that keeps on reoccurring is just so there was like this one where I'm able to like go into different people's brains and things like that, so you see the wire coming through, and it's things like that.
Oh, that's cool.
As a whole, really. Yeah.
That's cool because you want to know what's happening behind the masks. And I think that what I wanted to do is to show this guy what is his true identity behind the masks that he needs to wear in order to protect himself from everything from the outside. So I think that is where everything started for me, because I really don't like injustice. I don't like bullying. I don't like people judging other people. So I've been very angry when I was a young child. As a teenager, I was an angry teenager, and now I'm not angry anymore. I'm trying to do it in a more soft and beautiful way, because I think that people can relate to it easier when you're not yelling at them or hitting them with it. So this has been proven to be a better way to do it, the way I'm doing it as a grown-up.
Definitely, I totally agree with that. And that's really, really powerful and inspiring. And could you share with the listeners, what would you say was the pivotal point along your journey, and what did it teach you?
I've had a few of them. As a child, I had a few of them, but I want to keep it a bit short here, so I'll focus on the most important one, and that would be when my son was born. He's now 22, and he's a beautiful being. I mean, he is emotionally intelligent and considerate and compassionate, and also he plays all kinds of video games. So there are two different aspects of him, and I love the balance that he's creating in his life. I remember the day when he was born, and the first time I looked into his eyes, I felt that I saw authenticity. I saw that he had everything he needed already within him. Just by breathing his first breath, I could see that he had everything he needed in his life. And I had this idea that when he was born, I was going to teach him a lot of stuff. I was going to show him how to be in this world. And I realized that I cannot teach him anything. He already knows everything he needs to know. What I need to do is to remember my own authenticity, to relearn how to be compassionate, to relearn how to interact with this world. Because if I am not authentic, then I will give him a template of how to interact with this world without being authentic. So that was a moment of real change in my life, when I realized I cannot be not authentic in this world. I cannot be someone else. I have to be myself, and I have to be that for him in order for him to be able to be authentic. Because if I, as a parent, do not become a role model of how to interact with this reality, and I'm not talking about what I'm saying to him, I'm talking about what I am doing, because he will be doing what I am doing, not what I'm saying. And that put me in a position where I realized that, oh my God, I need to relearn a lot of stuff. I need to forget a lot of stuff, and I need to relearn. So I focused myself in the present moment with him. I became a stay-at-home mom for several years. And that was the greatest lesson in my life, to be with my son for the first 5 years of his life and just being with him, interacting with him, allowing myself to be present and unstructured, just be with him and see where is he going, what is he doing, and interact with him in an organic way. And it taught me so many things. So that was the pivotal point for me that really changed everything for me. I realized that I needed to change. If I was going to become who I truly am, I needed to change and be more like him, not teach him to be more like me. That's one of the most pivotal moments in my life.
That is absolutely amazing. I think that's so very true and powerful. And I hope that you listeners are picking up on what Gordana is saying. For example, how she spoke about being there for the first 5 years of her child's life, because between the ages of 0 to 7, children are like sponges, so it's easy to input things into them, and that's one of the most crucial points in their life. So making that choice to stay at home and simply teach him without teaching him in a way, by just doing what you do normally, but him then picking up on your actions and all the things that you do and get up to in everyday life, he's then able to incorporate them in his being and just simply pick up the best bits of you as a whole, really.
It's not just about me doing that. His dad had to change everything too. And I think this is what it means to have a child. Most people get it backwards. They think that they are supposed to foster the child into society, when that is not the truth. I remember specific one thing. When he was in school, he was a very, very kind boy. And you know how kind boys are treated in school, even though we live in Sweden and schools are good, but still there is always bullying. And so I remember him coming home, I think he was 7 or something, and he said to me that they were pushing him around in the schoolyard. And I remember going down on my knees and telling him, okay, so you need to learn how to push back. So push me as hard as you can, just so that he will learn how to push. And he stood there, he just stood there and he watched me. And then I saw sadness in his eyes, and he said, but Mom, if I push them, then they will be hurt, won't they? And that's when I realized that, oh my God, I am totally, what am I doing here? I'm trying to teach my child a behavior which no one should be taught. It's not, he is not doing anything wrong. They are doing something wrong. And this is why I do this. I want to change them. I don't want to change the ones that are born into this reality with the right perspective. I want to change our way of thinking, that how can you solve a problem with adding more violence to it? It's insanity to do so. So that was another pivotal moment in my life where I thought, okay, so I need to reevaluate this, rethink, and change. So I didn't teach him that. He actually became really good at talking and mediating between people, and I see that as a trait within him, that he's always trying to find a middle way and help people to communicate with each other. So maybe he needed that in his life in order to grow into the person he has grown into. But I know that I learned that I was wrong and he was right. Always. That's why I love children in this world. They're so beautiful. And by the way, I really, really think it's courageous of you to do what you do. And I wanted to ask you why you do what you're doing, because it's rare to have how old are you? You're 15.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah, okay. So a 15-year-old boy being interested in all these kind of inspirational things. So I'm really curious, why do you do this?
Yeah, so the main reason why I do everything that I do as a whole is just to share my message and teach people how they can sort of achieve things in their life without having to change who they are, because there's so many coaches and mentors who say you can be like me, you have to copy all of this, but it's about learning to shape what they already have and using the power that they have from within to then guide them along the way to achieve their goals and desires in life.
Yeah, but you know why it feels um, not real when someone says copy this and everything will be fine, because if you try to be like someone else, and we've all done that in our life, we've all tried to be someone else, it won't work for you, because you're here to explore your desires. If you think that you're exploring someone else's desires, then you're not being you, and your soul will scream. It will say, no, 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 this is not what you need to do. And you will feel some kind of emotional pain. It would be either anxiety, or you might feel that you're not good enough, or whatever it is. It will always remind you you're not walking your path. I mean, some kids try to fulfill their parents' dreams. So they're living their parents' lives instead. Others want to become like pop stars. So they're living the pop stars' dreams. Someone wants to become like a football player. So they're dreaming to become that person. And it's only when you start being who you truly are, that is when success comes. It cannot come otherwise. You know that Oscar Wilde once said that be yourself, everyone else is taken. And this is the truth, because as soon as you try to be someone else, you will feel out of place, because that place is already taken by someone else. You're supposed to explore your place in time and space, and who you are and what you bring into this reality. A lot of people ask me that, well, how do you do that? I mean, how do you do that? It's very, very simple. It's to follow your excitement, what excites you, what makes your heart tingle, what makes your curiosity bubble. That is what you're supposed to follow. It's very hard to do so in our society, because what you do in your life when you grow up has to be connected to earning money from it. So that narrows it down to certain things, and you try to find the templates out there. So you think, okay, pop stars, lot of money, I'll go that way. I'll be the new whoever it is, Kate Perry or whoever. And that doesn't work out for you. It will give you emotional pain all the time. So this is why you need to figure out, so, okay, what do I love to do, without thinking about how you're going to get money from it. And you know what? Today, it's such a beautiful time to be in, because through social media, you can always find your tribe, and
Yeah.
you can always find a way to bring in some kind of income through that. So, not being so much about doing it as anyone else, being more about doing it your way, kindly and compassionately, and success is always there then.
Totally agree. It's just about being content with yourself, because if you then simply own your space and you're confident being you and just being unique and special the
Mhm.
way you are, then the following shall come, or whatever it is that you want shall come as a result of you just simply owning your space. Because like I think that one huge misunderstanding that people are facing in today's day and age is the difference between confidence and arrogance, because people
Yeah.
get they confuse between the meaning of confidence and arrogance, and they
Mm.
think that confidence is just like simply just saying hey and this is what I do, but then they think that arrogance is actually being simply saying this is what I stand for and you can't make me like change it, but that is actually
Mm.
confidence. And
Mm.
arrogance is actually when you take that over that confidence and then sort of like it becomes like egotistical, so you're like full of
Mm.
yourself and you're not open to different learnings and
Mm.
if going down different avenues. And I think that's
Mm.
something that people need to try and emulate to then help better their lives.
Mm. Well, that's the truth. You really put it well there, because arrogance comes from the ego mind. Confidence comes from the soul heart. When you're confident, you know that nothing can harm you. You don't take anything personal, so you just stand there grounded in your knowingness of who you are. When you know who you are, and this is a tricky one because people confuse knowing who you are with your ego, and that is not who you are. What I say when I talk about who you truly are is that you are not your emotions, you are not your thoughts, you're not your body. You are the one using your emotions or feeling them. You're the one thinking the thoughts, you're the one using the body. So when you are a confident person, you know that the stillness within you is who you truly are. The rest is just emotion on the outside, which can trigger you to look that way, to put your awareness there. But if you know who you are, you also know that you don't need to react to it. You can stand firmly in who you are. Arrogance is something else. Arrogance is actually not knowing who you are and thinking that something might hurt you from the outside. So you might as well be prepared and you put up a mask. You stop people. You don't allow them to be who they are with you because they feel afraid of you, that you will judge them or that you will reject them. And that becomes arrogance. I know the difference between them because I have been, as a teenager, I was perceived as an arrogant person. And I wasn't arrogant. I was just afraid that someone might see me, the real me, and then laugh at it. Today, I don't care if people laugh at it. It doesn't matter to me because I know who I am, and I am standing in that firmness. That also is like, you know, when people say, well, you have to love yourself, otherwise you can't love other people. And to me, it's really abstract. How do you love yourself? It's tough to love yourself. But if I say that I know who I am and I feel compassion for myself, I forgive myself the things that I do that are not good, I'm not harsh on myself, I'm kind to myself, that is to love oneself. An arrogant person does not love oneself in that way. An arrogant person is actually very afraid of being seen for who they truly are. They don't think that they are enough. So that is why they put up this arrogance. And all of this is the ego speaking, absolutely not the soul. So you are absolutely right. There is a difference between arrogance and confidence, self-confidence. A big difference. Yeah.
Yes. And it's actually really like it's actually really important at a time like now because people are then due to that lack of confidence, they're actually losing motivation as well. So what would you say people can do to stay motivated during moments of crisis?
Well, you know, to stay motivated is about understanding what success actually is. For me, success is not about getting everything right. You know how when you think that everything is a straight line in success, it is not. Success is much more about allowing your excitement to be your guide and follow it. So if you feel like you're losing motivation, then you look for things that will motivate you again. Like, I don't know, talking to someone that you know will help you bring back the energy within you. So this is why inspirational speakers are there for you. You go out there and start listening to people that will inspire you to get back on track again. So success is not about success is not about always being on track. Success is actually about how do I react to the failures? How do I react to the stops? How do I react to the things around me that don't feel good? And how fast do I rebound from them? It's about the rebounds from it. If you stay in, oh my God, nothing is going well, then you prolong that pain and success feels like further and further away. So the only thing is to take conscious actions towards something that excites you. It doesn't have to be connected to what you're doing, just so that you will get the juices flowing. And then you allow yourself to see the possibilities again. Because when you feel lack of motivation, usually comes from being afraid of something. And when you are in fear, I talk a lot about energies and frequencies. So the difference between you and me, we're both energy, but the difference between you and me is just the frequency of that energy. So happiness is a higher frequency than fear and other negative frequencies. Love and happiness, compassion, knowing, all very high frequencies. The fear is a low frequency. So if you have a high frequency, that means that you will take in more of the world. You know how you feel when you're happy? You feel like you're open, and that is the frequency going through you, showing you that you take in more of the world. You can see more of the things, the possibilities that are in your world. When you go into fear mode, it goes like this. The frequency will give you a vision that is this wide, which means that everything that is outside of that frequency, you cannot perceive, you cannot see, you can't feel it, you can't hear it, you can't taste it, and you can't see it. So in order to see all the possibilities, the first thing you need to do is to acknowledge that there is fear, and then find a way to change from fear to joy. So if it's watching great movies or funny movies or hanging out with your friends or hugging your mom or whatever gives you a higher frequency, you do that, even if it's not connected to what you work with, so that you will come up in frequency, and that is where all the possibilities are. So for me, the most important thing is to not dwell in the fear, to find ways of soothing your fear, to find ways of heightening your frequency, even if it isn't connected to what you do. Because when you do that, you open up and you can see more of the possibilities. This is why it's so important who you hang out with. Because if you're hanging out with people that only see the dark side of everything, and by the way, every single thing in this reality has a dark side and a brighter side. Yeah. So it's you're choosing which side you're looking at. It doesn't mean that you're always positive, that everything is happy and cool. But if you find something that is horrible, you can find the brightest side of that horrible thing, then you are in advantage. Yeah. And most people don't understand that. So if you're hanging out with people that only see the dark things, you will become a part of their frequency, because it is bleeding into your frequency and lowering it. How do you think you feel when the frequency is going lower? Do you think you know how it feels when your frequency goes lower? Can you give me an example of something like that in your reality, where you feel that your frequency is going lower?
I think maybe like times where I've either lost things, or because personally I have panic attacks sometimes. So like when I it's due to more emotions. So let's say I'm not feeling too happy and things like that, I then sort of feel my body more trying to cave in.
Yes.
When you're feeling happy and things like that, you feel more relaxed, more open, and you just feel more free to do what you'd like to do, really.
Well, here's the thing, when you feel that your body is going like that, if you're having a panic attack or just fear, you can literally feel it in your body. You feel how you go inwards like that. You can change that by stopping your body from going into it and allowing your body to open up. So there's another conscious action you need to take. You need to put your arms out, put your chest out, and breathe in, and almost smile with your face and breathe in, because you can almost trick your mind, trick your brain into, okay, it's cool, we're happy, look at me, I'm open. And it becomes more open then. So it just not to pull you further into that, stagnated state of fear. So for your listeners, every time you feel that the fear is going on, for me, for instance, when I watch news, I can feel my heart starting beat, starting to beat very, very fast now. And I know, okay, so we're going down the fear lane now, and I need to stop it, either to turn off the news or I walk out. Because fear, I've always seen fear as an enemy when I was a child, because I come from a harsh background. I didn't have a great childhood. So I saw fear as an enemy. I tried to escape fear every single time. And as a grown up, I know that fear has two sides, like everything else. Fear has a darker and a brighter side. The brighter side of fear is that it will save your life. It is like an alarm bell. It says, bing-a-ling-a-ling-a-ling-a-ling, don't go there, change path, change route, change. It's telling you this is not where you're supposed to be. If you dwell in fear, if you say, I don't care what you're saying, I'm going to stay here, you stay in that fear, it becomes toxic. It's no longer an alarm bell telling you you're deviating from who you are, and the toxicity of it makes you sick. So there are two sides of fear. If I see fear as my GPS, I say, okay, so I don't like this, like the news. I can walk outside, I can do something else and release myself from it. Then there is this fear. Let's say that you want to speak to people and there's hundreds of people in the room and you're on the stage and you feel the fear going on. That is actually not fear. That is actually excitement, very, very high frequency excitement. And it took me years to realize the difference between the two, because I thought it was fear, and I thought, oh my god, I have to shove it down. I can't let it out. If I stand in it and I allow it to be there, it excites me, and then I can perform better. So it's about using fear as a tool, exactly as every other feeling in our reality, because it is not who you are. It is a tool that is there for your benefit, to find the benefits in that fear and use it, or lose it if it's no benefit from it. I think that has been one of the greatest lessons in my life, to realize that I am not that fear. I am real. Fear is not. I can use the fear. It is a tool.
That is so very powerful. And I think that in today's day and age, how social media is evolving and things like that, people have many fears, not just internally but externally as well, due to when people are going to post things, they're thinking, oh, what will they comment, who will see it, will they like? But it's actually about learning to own the space that you are in, because then that way you're not allowing fear to creep in. And I actually really liked what you said there about then being able to notice whether it's actually fear or excitement. Because I too, when I first started public speaking, I used to get a bit panicky before I'd go to talk, but then I think of it as a way to simply fuel me to then share my message. And one thing that my older sister has shared with me is when, for example, some of you listeners might be getting a bit panicky and shaky before even going to deliver a talk. It's about thinking about, not about yourself, but thinking about that one, maybe a couple of people who may be impacted greatly from that talk you're about to give. So it's about sometimes pulling yourself out of the equation and thinking about the impact that you're going to deliver.
Exactly. Asking yourself, how can I make the communication between me and the people there free from everything else, so that I can deliver what I need, what they need to hear, what they came here to hear. You know, when I started speaking, I was always focused on the people that looked like they were not interested, because this is a survival mechanism. You try to protect yourself from the bad stuff. So you're always looking for, where is the danger? Oh, there is one, he's asleep and she's not listening. And that messes things up in your mind. I changed my perspective, and I started doing things like, I'm focused on all the people that came here. They came here to hear what I want to give them. So it becomes a giving. It doesn't become they're judging me, I ask myself, what do I want to give them? How do I want them to feel when they leave this room? And it's always about, I want them to feel excited. I want them to feel loved. I want them to feel educated. I want them to feel illuminated. And how can I illuminate them if I am in fear? I can't. So I have to be illuminated, excited, and loving when I'm standing there, which means do not focus on the negative things, because there usually aren't. Sometimes our mind plays games with us and it will say something like, oh, he looks very, very bored. I had a situation like that. And this man came up to the stage afterwards and he said, oh my God, this was so inspiring. And all the time I was thinking, he does not like this. And he liked it, only I was the one interpreting his body language in the wrong way because I was in the wrong frequency. So there are so many things to learn when we look at fear and what it actually is. It's not something that we're supposed to avoid at every cost. It's more about finding, what is fear trying to tell me here? Is it lying to me? Or is it actually telling me this is not good for you, go somewhere else? So it's all about discerning what is fear trying to tell me.
That is very, very true. And it's actually really fun, that story about the man who had a huge impact, because like when people come across like the man who you gave an example about, it's often because they already have that barrier up so that no one is then able to get in. But then by listening to your talk and many others, they're then able to drop that barrier bit by bit until they are then able to receive the information on a deep and internal level that they can then implement in everyday life. And if you I'd like to ask, if you had a megaphone and you could say one thing to the world that would have a lasting influence, what would it be and why?
You know something? Usually I would say, look inward and find yourself, find thyself, because when you do that, everything changes for you. You understand how powerful and great you actually are, every single one of us. And I literally mean that every single being on this earth has the power to create their own reality. And when you know that, everything becomes different. And I'm not saying that it will not give you the reality or the quantum field or God or whatever you want to call it, won't give you obstacles, because this is what we're here to do, explore the obstacles. But what I'm saying is, when you know who you are, the obstacles they become more fun instead of just suffering and struggling. But in these times, because we have had a stressful 2 months now, I would use this megaphone exactly in this time to say, wake up to people. I really do. I feel like, wake up, understand who you are. Don't dive into fear. Look at it, see what it can teach you, and then use that in order to create a better reality. So don't dive into the fear. Be awake, be authentic, look inward, and trust what you find inside. That, I think I would stand and scream that out if I could. Actually, I can, because I mean, on Twitter, I have hundreds of thousands of people looking for my thoughts. So I could do this. I could say something like that, but I feel like I don't want to scare people. I want them to gently look for themselves, even in stressful times.
Yeah, definitely. I totally agree with that. It's about gently nudging them to then find the truth that works for them, really.
Mm-hmm.
Talking about like advice and motivation, could you share some advice with those who may be starting something new and starting to give up?
Well, I think we touched upon that a few minutes ago, where I said that follow your excitement no matter what. Do not allow this pressure from the outside to stop you from exploring things that you want to explore. It's like me talking about, asking, where does an apple come from, or where does this flower come from? Just follow your excitement, because I'm very much into synchronicity, and I know that when you are tapped into some kind of curiosity about this world, when you're tapped into how does this work and how can I change that, or do they need this, to be more in how can I help, how can I change something in this world. Well, synchronicity will help you with everything else. It will show you, it will make people show up that you need, or it will give you a book to read which you need to read in order to become who you truly are. So tapping into your synchronicity, to the positive synchronicity in your life, you have to stay connected to the excitement and the curiosity in this world. Regardless of what is happening outside, regardless of how down you feel, you need to take conscious and active action towards following your excitement. Otherwise, you just exist. You don't live fully. And speaking about synchronicity, I want us to play a little game here, because this is the book that I wrote. It's called #Know the Truth, Why Knowing Who You Are Changes Everything. And my readers use this book as an oracle. You can read it from cover to cover, but they use it as an oracle in order to get the message of the day. So I'm going to play around with it now with you. So I'll ask you to think of something that you're struggling with right now, and then to ask the question, what is my message for the day, so that you will get through that struggle. And then you give me a number from 1 to 231. Just pick any number, and we'll read the message and see if you can apply it to that struggle. Okay?
Yeah, sure. Let's do 77.
77. What a beautiful number. Very nice. Let's see here. Let's see now. Or maybe I can read it like this. Okay, so this is True Thought number 77, and it goes like this. Breathe in your unbound soul. There is no need for control. Act less, observe more, and grow. Relax and surrender to your flow. So how does it apply to the struggles that you had?
Yeah, definitely about the panic attacks, like breathing more, and yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and to relax and not control, because a panic attack often comes from either overthinking or trying to control the outcome. And it's like trying to control something that is in the future and it's unknown to you. So if you just relax and allow it to be as it is, it resolves itself without any action from your part.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
Thank you. Thank you. And I highly advise that you listeners are taking notes, so that you guys do not miss out on these golden nuggets that Gordana Biernat is sharing with us today. And is there anything that you've maybe done in the past, and now looking back on it, you may have wished you've done it differently, or maybe even sooner?
Well, you know something, this is the thing with me, even though I really did have a rough childhood. So, I mean, most of us would say, well, I would change my childhood. And I feel that I wouldn't, because if I changed anything, then I wouldn't be who I am today. So everything that has happened for a reason. It didn't feel good when I was a child, but as a grown-up, I can take responsibility for my reactions to it. And I can grow from it. And it's the growth that is really great, when you can look back at it and use it as a fuel in this reality. But if I have to pick something, just in order to answer your question, I think I've started to believe in myself much earlier, because it took time for me to believe in myself. The tricky part is, when you don't believe in yourself, well, then nobody believes in you. So starting to believe in myself would be the thing. I remember my teachers in school trying to show me how brilliant I was, and I could not take that in. Because in my world, I wasn't brilliant, I wasn't smart, I was no one. That's how I felt. And they tried to show me a different picture so they could see something that I couldn't see. When I started believing in myself, I could see what they saw because I had the same frequency as they and I could take it in. It became visible to me, my frequency. So I think it would have been much more fun to believe in myself, and that would be the only thing I would have changed.
That's actually really, really true and powerful information about believing in yourself, because when you then believe in yourself, and let's say that you might be doing talks or just anything in life really, people then pick up on that authenticity and it then attracts them to you because they know that you simply stand for what you stand for, and you are willing to allow people to then help you along your journey who have the same belief systems in place that suit you really.
Yeah, well, this is the thing. When you are authentic, and that's the lesson I learned when I looked into my son's eyes for the first time. When I am authentic, I give permission, which nobody needs, but it feels like I am giving permission to you to be authentic. Because when I am authentic, I am not judging anyone. So the person that talks to me will not feel judged. And this has helped me a lot in my career because as a coach, I have to be there and I have to listen to my clients without judging them. And it's really easy for me because when I am authentic, then nothing they do will be judged by me because I know it comes from their authentic self. So it's okay. Everything is okay. And when you can look at things, then you also can change them. Because if you're not looking at them, then you're fooling yourself and you cannot change them and they become a permanent problem in your life. So the first step to change something is to acknowledge things and be authentic with that. So, of course, authenticity is a really, really big thing, to be who you truly are, because as Oscar Wilde says, everyone else is taken.
That is so very true, and I hope that you listeners are then picking up on this information, taking down notes and steps that you guys can then implement in everyday life to help better the way you live, and also just increase the levels of success so that you too can achieve your goals. Where can people find you if they'd like to find out about any upcoming things you may have?
Well, I'm writing my next book, but it will take a while until that is out. But they can find me. I am at My Power Talk on Twitter and on Instagram, and I'm on Twitter all the time. Also, I am on Instagram, and I'm posting things that will help you illuminate yourself from within. I'm also on Facebook, so just write Gordana Biernat and you will find me. Also, they can find me at mypowertalk.com. But that site is now under construction, so the best place is actually Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook.
Thanks so much for sharing. I urge you guys as listeners to go and grab a copy of Gordana's book. #KnowTheTruth. It's absolutely amazing. Me and my family have our very own copy and we just love to read this. So what we love to do, and I highly urge that you guys do, is we've read the book a couple of times, you just randomly flip through the book and you just stop wherever you see fit and you just read that, and that can be seen as your inspiration for that day. So I highly urge that you guys go and grab yourself a copy. And thank you so much to you, Gordana, for coming on the Influencer Show today.
Thank you so much for having me. I had a blast. This was a beautiful conversation. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. And also thank you to you listeners for tuning into the Influencer Show today. And I hope that you guys have enjoyed it. And if you too would like to have the chance to be featured on the show, feel free to email the email that's going to be popping up on the screen. And I hope you guys have a great day. That's it from me. Bye.